Yes, sir.
Okay. Great. So let's get started. Quick recap in a minute or so, and then we'll take a round of questions, and then we'll start with the agenda for today. So a quick recap of what we were doing in the last class. So in the last class, we looked at the process using which the financial statements are prepared, the formal process. The formal process contains primarily of these 5 stages or steps, whatever you want to call them. So in different books, the exact terminologies or the terminologies or bifurcations may be different, but the overall theme remains same. That first of all, whenever a transaction happens, we will analyze it and we will pass its journal entry. So first two steps take place every time a transaction happens. Then later on, once the period is over, we will prepare a summary statement of all the journals, that is called a ledger. Then we will prepare a summary of this, which is called a trial balance. And from this summary, we will prepare our income statement and balance sheet. So to do this, what did we do? We devised our rule. The rule was that we are looking at all the transactions effect into these different categories. So asset increase or reduction, liability increase or reduction, or an income or an expense. Within these, we are looking at assigning all of these things a sign of either debit or credit. So we are calling everything either a debit or a credit. Once we have the rules assigned, we looked at every transactions one by one and and identified the 2 aspects associated in all the transactions, and found out that always one of these sides will have a debit side and always one of these sides will have a credit side, and the total amount will remain same. So in this manner, we kept on passing the journal entry for every transactions. Once we are done with the journal entry, we move to the next step of the process. The next step is preparation of a ledger. So in a ledger, what do we do? In a ledger, we go to every entry of the journal entry one by one and decide if we already have a T account of that particular heading, then we go to the same T account. If not, then we prepare the T account now and we enter the amount in the side that it is mentioning. For example, here it is mentioning go to the cash T account and in the debit side mention 5 crore rupees. So this is what we'll do, that we'll go to cash T account and in the debit side we'll mention 5 crore rupees. So on and so forth, we went to every 2 aspects of every transaction, every journal entry, and similarly we kept on posting these things into these T accounts. Once we transferred everything into the T accounts, then we found out the closing balances of different T accounts. We found out that which side is higher, the debit or the credit. And then we said, depending upon whichever side is higher, we said that the account has this type of a balance. For example, here cash has a debit balance of 695. And similarly, inventory has a debit balance of 350. Loan has a credit balance of 300. So in a T account, if the balance is on the debit side, we say that it is having a debit balance. If the balance is on the credit side, we say it is having a credit balance. So similarly, we found the balances of all the T accounts. That was our end of stage 3, that is preparation of ledger. Then what did we do? We moved to the next stage, which is preparation of trial balance. Trial balance was fairly simple, that we just kept on recording the closing balance of all these T accounts. So cash had a debit balance. So we bifurcated all the balances into the debit balance and the credit balance. We wrote cash had a debit balance of this much, capital had a credit balance of this much, so on and so forth. Once we transferred all the balances into the trial balance, what did we do? We totaled it and we found out that the total is equal. This is not by chance that for this example, this total is equal. It will always happen so if things are done correctly. Why it will happen so? Because every time we were providing a journal entry, for every debit we provided a credit of equal amount. That is why it has to happen. Then after this, what did we do? After this, we moved to our 5th and final stage of the preparation, that is preparation of income statement and balance sheet. So for that, what do? We go to every item of trial balance one by one and we decide whether the particular item is an income, expense, asset or liability. Depending upon what it is, we kept on transferring these items either to income statement or balance sheet. If it is asset or liability, we transfer it to balance sheet. If it is income or expense, we transfer it to income statement. After we are done transferring all the items into income statement or balance sheet, what did we do finally? Finally, we found out the profit figure and we transferred it into the balance sheet in the claim of owners. And the name used was retained earnings. In case of Indian companies, same thing is also called reserves and surplus. So once we transfer this amount, then we can do the total of asset side of the balance sheet and the liability side of the balance sheet, and we must find that the both sides are exactly equal. This is what we had done up till the last class. So any questions up till here? All good, sab samajh mein aa gaya? Life is cool then, perfect. Let's move ahead. So in case you are feeling very confident, let me confuse you today. Okay. Not because I'm a sadist person, simply because I need to increase the difficulty level one by one. Okay. Let's see. So before moving forward, I will draw your attention towards a peculiar problem in real life. So in the books, what we did, especially for one particular transaction I'm talking about every time a sale happened. Every time a sale happened, what we were doing, we were breaking it into two parts. One was the revenue leg of the transaction and one was the expense. The revenue was increase in retained earnings and expense was reduction in retained earnings. This was recording the fact that inventory has gone out, and this was recording the fact that you have generated resources. Now, just think from a real life perspective. Think from the ground reality of businesses. Let's say you are a Kirana store. Okay, you are a Kirana store and you are selling certain goods. Okay, let's say this is the goods cart. Somebody is bringing the trolley in front of you, and you are selling the goods. So this trolley has a number of goods here. Let's say some biscuit packets, some chips packets, some kgs of rice, some kgs of pulses, and some vegetables, so on and so forth. Now, let's say, just imagine for convenience sake, let's say just imagine a counter of Big Bazaar. Okay. Now, if suppose you want to record every time a sale happened, not only you are recording the revenue part, let's say you are going ahead and finding out that what items are there. Okay, this biscuit packet, when did I purchase it? For what price did I purchase it? Basically, how did I record the expense? For recording the expense, I needed that what cost did I incur to buy the item, right? This is what I need. Now,
yes, so you need the cost of the goods.
We need to find out that as an organization, what did we spend to buy these items, right? That's what became expense for us. Now, in real life, finding these expenses for all the items might be really difficult. You can imagine that a burden of tracking so many goods to so many vouchers so many times, because sales is one of the most frequent happening transaction in a business. In fact, for Kirana store, maybe every minute there is a sale happening. If you have 5-6 counters, maybe every minute some 5-6 sales are happening. So you can imagine the difficulty of recording this part. Recording this part is fairly easy. Why? All you need to do is just look at the bottom of the sales voucher that you are creating or the bill you are creating. There the amount would be mentioned, that what value you are doing the sale for. But is the similar part available somewhere for the cost? For the cost, this item is difficult to determine. So you understand the problem I am posing? Problem samajh aa gaya? Now let us see how do we address this problem. So in real life, this is how we address this problem. In real life, when a sale happens, when we want to record it, we will only record the revenue part. We'll simply ignore the expense part. Let's say this is the accounting period. Let's say this is 1st of January and this is 31st of December of whatever year, let's say 19. And let's say this is my accounting period. If this is my accounting period, then let's say sales are happening. So every time sales are happening, there are two legs of the sale. I told you that revenue part and expense part. Every time sale is happening, we will only record the revenue part. We simply ignore the expense part as if it's not even there. Now, if we are ignoring this part only because of convenience and never coming back to it, we might be looking at a profit figure which is inflated, right? So we cannot completely ignore it. We need to find some way out. So the way around is like this. So every time a sale happens, we don't record the expense part, but we record the expense part for the entire period just in one go. in one go itself, so every time a sale is happening, finding cost might be difficult. But for the entire period, what was the total cost, that is cost of goods sold, that it turns out is relatively much easier. How it is? Let's see. So to find out the cost of goods sold for the entire year, this or rather entire accounting period, if you are maintaining it for 6 months, then for the entire 6-month period, if you are maintaining the records for monthly or quarterly, then for quarter or month. But the bottom line is, for entire period, we want to find out cost of goods sold, and for that we want 3 pieces of information. Okay, what these pieces of information are? Information number 1 will be that I want information about what was my opening inventory. Now, what do we mean by opening inventory? Opening inventory means that when you started this year, how much inventory was there with you when you begin the period. So most of the businesses are continuing operations. So from last year, you would have some amount of inventory lying with you, right? So first of all, we want that information, that from last year, how much inventory was there with which you started the year. ये समझ आ रहा है? What am I talking about? Let me check quickly the facial expressions, which is missing here. बहुत सारे लोग अपने डीपी के पीछे छुपे बैठे हैं. डीपी वाला, just get out of it. Yeah. Switch on your cameras. It's okay. You combed your hair. You did not a problem with me. Just tell your friends not to judge you. Okay with me, perfectly all right. On karo. Yeah. Typically, I would say that 1 or 2 people will have internet issues. It cannot happen that 6-7 people. Okay, fine. Niranjana, comfortably sleeping, huh? I caught you today. 5 marks penalty. Remind me at time of end term. Okay, fine. Not a problem.
Sir, I just switched off the video.
It's okay. No need to give justification. See, मैं किसी की भी टांग खिंचाई कर सकता हूँ. That much freedom I have. Let's go ahead. What am I talking about here? Is that we are going to find a shortcut to find cost of goods sold. Now this shortcut is needed because of a real life problem, because in real life we keep on selling very frequently and it might be sometimes cumbersome, and in certain examples it might be really difficult to exactly find out what was the cost that was associated with the sale. So to overcome this issue, we don't pass the entry for the cost every time a sale happens, rather we wait for the period to end. Once the period ends, then in one go itself we want to find the entire cost of goods sold for all the sales in this period. Now to do that, what do we need? To do that, we need 3 pieces of information. That's what I was about to explain. The first piece of information we need is, how much inventory did you start the year with? Where did you find this information? Anybody would want to make a guess? I want to know this information. Where will I find it?
From previous
Previous year's balance sheet. In previous year's balance sheet, whatever was left this year, it would be available for me to start the year with, right? So this information is very easily available to me from previous year's balance sheet. Okay, perfect. So I will write it here, whatever be the amount. Let me take an example. So let us say, just for convenience sake, so I know that I gave you example of a Kirana store to confuse you out, but when I take an example, I'll take very simplistic one because I need to drive a point. Okay, if I take example of a Kirana store, then you'll get confused. Okay, let's say you are a very simplistic store, you buy chairs and you sell them. Okay, you buy chairs at 50,000 per chair and you sell them at something. When you started this year, then in the beginning itself, let's say you had 20 chairs at 50,000 each. So that means you had opening inventory worth rupees 10 crores. 10 lakhs. Now from to this, we will add the purchases during the period. The purchase during the period. Where will you find the purchases during the period? Or simply said, purchases. Purchases means purchases during the period. Fresh purchase during the period. Where will you find this? Is this a difficult information to find? Wherever all your transactions are recorded, you would have these transactions, right? So you can find out purchases. So let's say in this year we purchase, let's say 60 chairs further, all at the price of 50,000 each. So 30 lakh worth of additional inventory has been purchased. So if I add opening inventory and purchases, then the number I get, this one has a specific name to it. This thing is called goods available for sale. Available for sale. So basically in this period, I had total 80 units at 50,000 each for sale. And that is how I have a total inventory worth 40 lakh to sell. What does this line means? That I could have sold a total of 40 lakh worth of inventory. That's the literal meaning, goods available for sale. Okay. Now I need just one more piece of information and then I can deduce my cost of goods sold. That piece of information is that how much inventory am I left with? That is called closing inventory. Now, how do I find this piece of information? This piece of information will come from physical asset taking, physical inventory taking. Okay. Have you ever noticed that at the end of an accounting period, some of the businesses remain closed? They will say stock taking is going on, that's why the business is closed. Anybody ever noticed it?
Yes, sir. Yes.
This is what they are doing. Basically, they are counting that what are they left with. So you will go to your godown and count, okay, these are the chairs that are left with me. So of course, this is a simplistic example made so that you can understand the process. But whatever is the complexity of your business, this is what you will do. You will go ahead and find out that what are you left with. Let's say you went to your godown and found out that the 30 chairs are still lying there. So if you subtract 30 chairs, how much? 15 lakh rupees from this, then the resulting figure is nothing but your cost of goods sold. That is, in this period, you have sold 50 chairs at 50,000 each. That is 25 lakhs. So your cost of goods sold is 25 lakhs. So in just one entry, let's say this sale would have happened in, let's say, some 500, 600 different installments. That every time some people are purchasing something, some of inventory is going away. But when you are doing the entry, in just one entry, you will record all of this. You will say cost of goods sold expense debit, and inventory credit, 25 lakhs. This is the journal entry you will pass today. When did you do it? When the accounting period has ended. What did you need for this? You needed opening inventory, purchase and closing inventory. Opening inventory and purchases are very easily available to you. Opening inventory will be available in your previous year's balance sheet. Purchases will be available in this year's transaction details or even journal entries. So whenever you would be purchasing, you would be doing journal entries. So there also you can take this information. Or simply speaking, the T account of inventory will have all of this information. Once you get this information, all you need to do an effort is to find out this piece of information. For this one, you need to actually go and check your godown. You went ahead and checked your godown, so you found out that what number of inventory or whatever is the amount of inventory that you are still left with. So if you add what you had to what you purchased, then you get what is available for you to sell. If you subtract from that what is left, then what you get is what you actually sold off. Okay. Only thing, one more thing you should keep it in mind here is that if there is any other reason of increase or reduction in inventory, for example, let's say somebody donated 2 pieces of inventory, or let's say 3 pieces got destroyed by fire, any other reason except for sale, all those need to be added or subtracted in arriving goods available for sale. For example, let's say 10 units got destroyed by fire. So what we would do, we would adjust for it in arriving goods available for sale. Let me create a different color to adjust this additional information. Let us say one more information said that 10 units got destroyed by fire. then in fact you would not have sold 50 units in this year. You would have sold something less. Let's see how much. I will say subtract goods lost due to fire. If I subtract goods lost due to fire, 10 units at 50,000. Now what happens if these prices change? So you can see here now, for convenience, I'm assuming same prices. In real life, prices can change. So one question would be that what do we do when the prices change? That part you ignore for the time being. There is a separate dedicated chapter for this, so we'll discuss it then. For now, just assume that if prices are not the issue, only the units are my issue, then what do we do? This is what we do. So we subtract 5 lakh from this, and now our goods available for sale is not 40 lakh, rather it is only 35 lakhs. So if from 35 you subtract 15, you get 20 lakhs of COGS. If you check your units, this gives you correct information. So you had 20, you purchased 60 more. So total 80. Of that, 10 got destroyed. So total 70 is left to be sold. Of 70, 30 are still lying in your godown. So that means you must have sold only 40. So now if you multiply 40 by 50,000 each, this is what is the number you will get. Sorry, this one. Any questions up till here? No questions? I'll end the class on time, even if you ask. Even if you ask the questions, no problem. All good?
Sir, please expand GLF. What was that?
Goods lost due to fire. I've just written it
Okay,
in shortcut because if I write long cut, I cannot read my own handwriting. So that's the only reason why I have written. So whatever is the reason of any other increase or reduction in the inventory, I'm saying that you need to adjust for that also. Let's say somebody has donated some 2 pieces of inventory. किसी ने 2 चेयर आपको donate कर दिया. So add that. Because of that, your inventory will go up. So add that here. Okay. So that's all I was saying. Okay. So once these, yeah, go ahead. Somebody is asking something.
When available good is equals to closing inventory, then cost of goods sold will be 0. No?
I didn't get your question, Avilas. Repeat it again.
Available inventory is equals to closing inventory. Then cost.
If available inventory is closing inventory, can you think what would have happened? So what Avilash is saying that if goods available for sale itself is equal to my closing inventory. So goods available is 80 and closing is also 80. Can you not guess what would have happened?
0.
You haven't sold anything. That's what.
Why would I do business then?
That you need to figure out later on. But it is evident that your entire business is facing a big question mark. That what are you doing? Year has ended, but whatever you had, on top of that, you purchased also something, and you are left with everything.
So what if the business bought some inventory like on the 10th of the month or something and added it to the stockpile, and the physical checking, it comes out that they were equal because of that?
No, it will get reflected into purchases always.
Okay.
What he is saying, what Manu is trying to imagine a new situation wherein what if there is a very recent purchase? My point is that no matter how recent a purchase it is, it will get reflected in purchases. At the end of the day, it is a purchase, right?
So like they will like account that at the end of the month, like all the purchases.
Let's say, let me show it to you. Let's say my accounting period is 1st January 19 to 31st December 19. Okay, you had 20 units to begin with. So far up till here, you bought, let's say, 60 more units, and you sold off, let's say, 20. Let's say you sold off 40 units. Okay, so total 80 was there with you, and you sold 40. What Manu is trying to imagine is, what if on the last day itself, once again, you buy, let's say, 81, and let's say you buy 40 more. On the last day, just before the business was closing, you bought 40 more. My point is that this itself will also be purchases. So now your purchase is not just 60, it is 60 plus 40. Total purchase is 100 units. So 20 unit opening, 100 unit this year's purchase. So total goods available for sale is 120 and not just 80. Okay. So now my point is that no matter how late you purchase, if you have purchased it in this accounting period, it will get reflected here. ठीक है, समझ आया?
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
so sometimes, suppose we assume a situation there's 100 goods available, 100 units of good available, and the entire year there wasn't any purchase done. So it was something maybe like a pandemic or whatever. And then right at the, I'm just saying throughout the year there was no purchase done,
Okay.
and the accounting period ends on the 31st of December.
Uh-huh.
Goods are sold on that day,
Okay.
but you haven't moved out of the your
Okay.
goods or whatever.
What he is mentioning is that you have sold the goods, but you have not delivered it yet. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. It's
Okay.
still there with you
So
at the end of your
anybody would want to take an attempt at how to resolve this an issue? You guys heard the question that Rishabh is trying to imagine, right?
We'll add
Now,
the
after this question, I cannot promise that class will end on time. Just joking, but give it a go. So what he's mentioning is that on last day you sold something, but goods are still there. What? How would you account for it? Yeah, somebody.
We'll add the liability section.
We'll add the liability. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else?
Since the transaction hasn't taken the transaction hasn't taken place yet, we can count it as a account receivable. That
No,
the
he's
amount
saying
that
otherwise. He's saying exact opposite of this. That transaction has taken place. It's like, let's say you are a refrigerator seller. On
Yeah.
last day you sold the refrigerator. The bill
Yeah.
is given. The payment has happened. But
Okay.
let's say for some reason tomorrow the person will come. The transport guy will come, whom I will give the refrigerator, and the person will take it away.
So then it's not revenue, right? Then it's advance revenue.
advance payment, yeah, advance payment is
Okay.
something which will come in the liability part.
Okay. Whether it is a revenue or not, let us assume for the time being that okay, I think it is pushing me to go into a revenue recognition point, but that I will deliberately try to avoid. Let us say for all purposes, revenue happened today, that today you got the payment, you also entered into the sales, everything is done. Only thing is that now you just need to give it to the, let's say, the rickshaw wala bhaiya or whosoever, the transport person, whosoever is going to carry the fridge. If you want to say so, Manu and Ishan are giving us a viewpoint. Before I answer, with rest of the class, did you get the question? What is being answered here? Okay. So the point here is that on last day sale happened, but goods have not moved yet. So there are two ways to think about it. Now you need to find out whether you can recognize the revenue in this period or not. Assuming you can recognize the revenue in this period, then these goods will be treated as if these are somebody else's material just lying with you. You cannot add it to your closing inventory. It's almost like, let's say the two of us are friends and I went to play cricket and just handed over my mobile phone to you. Then suddenly you can't claim to others that I have two mobile phones. No, this is just lying with you. It doesn't belong to you. So that is what will be the status of these goods if the revenue has been recognized. If revenue has not been recognized, as Manu and Ishan are saying, then this one will become a liability, the way advance revenue was. ओके समझ आया? प्रांजलि समझ आया क्या हुआ? बहुत ही तेज निकल गया सब. Okay.
So
Yeah.
So when it comes to advance revenue, then we'd be considering the closing stock as the same as opening stock.
नहीं. What I'm saying is that if you are treating it as an advance, तो sale तो हुआ ही नहीं, तो इसका COGS हुआ ही नहीं. You will treat it as sale in next period is what I'm saying. So it's like inventory lying with you. So only then you will add it to your closing inventory. Let's say there are these 5 pieces lying with you, whatever inventory. Let's say these are the inventory that is lying with you. And this piece is what you have doubt about. This is the piece of fridge which you sold at the last moment. Now the point I'm trying to tell you is that first of all, you need to make a distinction. Okay, let me draw a go down. This is my go down. Okay. Now the point I'm trying to tell here is that first of all you need to identify that can you recognize this fridge as a sale in this period, or do you want to wait till next period? So there are certain complications because of which we may want to recognize it as a sale of next period. Okay, if for any reason if you can recognize this as a sale of this period itself, then what will happen is that for you only these are your inventory. This is not your inventory at all. This belongs to somebody else. That is case number one. Case number two, if by any chance you thought that this is your inventory and you will wait actually for you to deliver the goods, only then you can go ahead and recognize the sale. Then in that case, these all will be your closing inventory. Okay. So these tricks actually, fortunately for us, accountants do not get fooled. कि लास्ट मोमेंट पे बेच दिया लेकिन सामान मूव नहीं हुआ वगैरह वगैरह. अगर सामान मूव नहीं भी हुआ है तो कोई तो बताएगा ना कि that these goods are already sold off. कुछ तो demarcation करोगे. There should be some record somewhere that this much goods are sold off, but we are yet to deliver. So because of that, we will not count those part of inventory which you have sold off, which does not belong to you. It's only physically lying with you. Okay. So when I said that take physical stock taking, I don't mean to say कि सब अपना दिमाग बंद कर दो, सब कुछ information भूल जाओ and just count the number of chairs or fridges or whatever and suddenly tell that this is the closing stock. No, you don't do that. You consider all the information available. You only count those pieces which belong to you.
So just clarify that when it's treated as revenue in the next period, is that good part of your closing inventory for that period or not?
Yes, it will be your closing inventory. That's exactly what I said just now. That if it is going to be treated not as a revenue of this period, then this piece will also be your closing inventory. So you will say you have 5 units now instead of only 4. Fine, which makes sense. कि आप अभी you are not even recognizing the fact that this has been sold. When you actually deliver it, when the rickshaw wala bhaiya or the transport person takes it away, only then you are going to recognize that this thing has been sold. So till then it belongs to you. That's why you are well within your right to count it as a closing inventory. Fine. और कोई permutation combination जो सोच सकते हैं, feel free to ask. It's good. Okay, perfect. Now that we have done the closing inventory, I'll give you one more piece of information which maybe will confuse you a little bit further, and then what we'll do is we will solve a question from the book. Okay, so I want to draw your attention to what did we do with the machinery in our example. So in the example that we created yesterday, we assumed that a machinery was purchased for 1 crore rupees, of which 20 was paid and 80 was outstanding. Now during the year, what happened is that we said that the machine has a 5 years of life, and because of that, if 1 year has passed, then we subtracted 20 lakh rupees in form of depreciation from this machinery. And that's how we said in our balance sheet, if you notice, we said that only 80 lakh worth of machine is left. If you remember the example, good. If not, then this is what we did. Let me just scroll back in case you are wondering कि कहीं मैं I'm not making things up. You see here this machinery of 80 lakhs. Okay, go and check its T account. This is the T account of machinery here. Okay, so this one has a 1 lakh of sorry, I think बार-बार मैं करोड़ से लाख में आ जाता हूँ, so you ignore the joke. Let's say 1 crore का machine खरीदा था, 20 lakh is depreciated. Now what is happening here is when you buy a machine, it gets debited. When you consume it, it gets credited, and that's how you have 80 left. And this 80 is what is getting reflected here. Fine. In the balance sheet, now you are saying that you are left with machinery worth only 80 lakhs, even though you had purchased it for 1 crore rupees. Now this is an acknowledgement of the fact is that now you don't have 1 crore worth of machinery left anymore. Still I see some confused faces. ये किया था, कल ही किया था यार, इतना दिन हुए भी नहीं है, याद है? Deepika, are you getting it? What are we talking about? Okay, perfect. Now, let me bring a issue here. The issue is that if I see this as my balance sheet, then machinery is 80 lakh rupees. Now, can I deduce from this number that is it an 80 lakh machine which is purchased just now, versus is it a machinery which was purchased for 1 crore but 20 is gone and that's how we have 80? Or is it like we had a machine of, let's say, 1000 crore rupees, and of that, let's say 980 has already been depreciated, sorry, 920 is already depreciated, and that's how we have 80 lakhs? Do we know that which case it is? If we look at the balance sheet, from that can we deduce this information is the question I'm asking. Can we? We cannot. Now the next follow-up question is it important? That would we want to know that machine tha kitne ka kitna depreciate kar raha hai? Is this information of any use to anybody? Before I ask for the responses, question samajh mein aaya? What am I asking? I am asking that in the balance sheet only net figure is available. Now from net figure I don't know what is the bifurcation of this, that what was the machinery initially worth, what you have already depreciated, which is resulting into 80 lakh of machinery. Is it a new 80 lakh worth of machinery? Is it 1 crore of machinery which has become 80 lakhs now? Is it 500 crore machinery which has become 80 lakhs now? What is the case? Now the one point is that it is not evident. And now the question I am posing to the class is, would somebody will be interested in knowing this information? Would anybody be interested in knowing this? Anybody?
Internal customer will be interested, but external customer,
Yes, sir.
I don't think they will be interested.
Internal customer. What do we mean by internal customer and external customer? ये कौन होता है?
Internal customer means the the stakeholders of the company.
Stakeholders of the company. Okay. So what Shovik is mentioning is insiders and outsiders. That insiders of the business would be interested, outsiders don't care. Okay. Anybody else?
So
Somebody is saying something, I can't hear it.
So am I audible?
Anybody else? I think Rishabh is trying to say something, but I think there is a network issue. So just hold on. Anybody else? Could you guys hear what he's saying? I could not. Okay. Anybody else?
Sir, adding to Shauvik's point, the people who are interested in investing into this company.
Okay. Why would they be interested, Vaishak?
So they wanted to know how much depreciated. I mean, are they going to buy new machinery to increase production? Those kind of
okay. So basically what Vaishak is mentioning is that people who are interested in dealing with this company from investment perspective, and let's say you're talking about Tata Motors, you want to find out, does it make sense to buy this company or not, this company share or not? So they would want this big bifurcation. Okay, fair enough. But for what purpose? What are they gaining because of it? So what Vaishak is mentioning is that maybe from this they will be able to figure out that are they going to buy a similar asset in near future? Okay, fair enough. What else?
So you can also find out, for example, if this is a 1 crore machinery which depreciated to 80, as opposed to suppose you have 2 pieces of machinery equipment which are 40 lakh each. So you can the person who wants to probably invest in the company knows the production capability of the company. So
basically, this is the major point. Basically, they want to know the capacity of the firm. Basically, this point, do you guys remember that one of the examples that we did, I think Music Mart, wherein there was an asset called prepaid insurance. Prepaid insurance with a value of around $1,200.
Yeah, 1224.
Okay, good memory. And from this amount, we subtracted the expense for this period, about $34, and that's how we said that 1,100 something is left. Right? Now the point I'm trying to bring here from all this description is that for prepaid insurance, people are not bothered about whether this detail is available or not. If I simply say that 1,100 worth of prepaid insurance is there, they're happy. They don't mind. But if I say machinery only 80 lakh is available, they want to know more information. Why? Because long-term assets or these fixed assets are the, for example, machine, your building, your land, your furniture, your these kind of assets. These give us an idea about the scale of the business. That what scale are you operating? आपका business है कितना बड़ा? For example, 80 lakh worth of new machine versus 200 crore ka old machine which has depreciated to 80 lakh, both have completely different level of operation. And this information is crucial for many stakeholders. For certain type of activities, you may want to deal with only large companies. For certain type of activities, you may only want to deal with small companies. Now, how are you going to determine it? As Shovik was mentioning that insiders will be interested, outsiders will not be. In fact, it is exactly other way around. Insiders already know this bifurcation from some information here and there. They know कि हमारे इतने plant यहाँ पे हैं, कितने बड़े-बड़े हैं. But imagine those people, let's say you are talking about Tata Motors and one person is sitting in, let's say, some village in, let's say, in Madhya Pradesh. Now, will that person have the necessity means to visit all the plants of Tata Motors? They cannot go and see the operations of Tata Motors by themselves. What information do they rely on? They rely on income statement and balance sheet. So looking at income statement and balance sheet, they want to make a understanding about what scale are they operating. So different other things will also give you the information about the scale, and among them one important piece of information is these long-term assets. That is why this information becomes very crucial, that only telling 80 lakhs is not sufficient. What we want? We want that tell us that the asset was actually of 1 crore rupees. We have depreciated so far 20 lakh, and that is how we are getting 80. Once this both bifurcation is given, now you can understand that, okay, this is the scale they are dealing with. Point समझ में आया what am I talking about? And why am I talking about it? Now let's, once what and why is done, let's do how do we record this? How do we represent it? Okay. So for this purpose, we
Sir, one doubt.
yeah.
Sir, depreciation here means that its value is decreasing, or that we have paid 20 lakhs?
Depreciation continues to have its old meaning. That is, the value is decreasing. That means we have used up the asset.
So for a over a time, its value has decreased.
Over a period, yes. Because of our usage, the value is reducing. Now the fact is, even though value might be reducing, the scale remains the same. When you replace, you will replace with a similar scale, right? So this part would be not visible to the users if only net figure was given. So that is why for long-term assets, there is an alternate strategy to provide information. So far, what was the strategy? This is what the strategy was, which I was about to tell you. Here it is. So far, the strategy was that in a T account of machinery, we would have written, in a T account of machinery, we would have written and 1 crore in the debit side and 20 lakh in the credit side. That's how the closing balance was coming, 80 lakhs. And this 80 was appearing in my balance sheet. But now what I will do is I will leave the machinery as it is. I will not reduce by the depreciation. I will not transfer the depreciation. I will carry on the machinery as it is. But the fact is, machinery is used. Machinery is consumed, right? If the period has ended. So somewhere I need to transfer. I will transfer it to a new head called accumulated depreciation. Accumulated depreciation. So earlier, when we were doing depreciation, what is the journal entry we were providing? We were saying that in accounting equation, let me show it to you first, because journal entry itself, you are not that familiar still. So accounting equation, what we would have done? Machine, whatever it was, machine was 1 crore. From that, you subtracted 20, and retained earning, you would have subtracted 20. This is what you would have done for depreciation, right? This part is recording the fact that value of machine has fallen down, and this part is recording that an expense has happened because of resource consumption. As a result, the journal entry, because of both of these, what are we passing as a journal entry? For depreciation, this is what we would have done. Machinery reduction, asset reduction. So asset reduction should be credited. So we would have called machinery credit by 20 lakhs. And this one is retained earning debit. Retained earning debit 20 lakhs. So we don't want retained earnings. So we would have mentioned the expense ka naam. Expense is named as depreciation expense. Okay, let's go and check whether we passed this entry at the time of depreciation or not. Let's quickly go and check. So here what I have written, depreciation expense debit and machinery credit. Let's go and check. The moment I'm able to find it out, we'll check, because my system is hanging a little bit today. Here it is. Can you see this? Depreciation expense debit and machinery credit. Right? Now in alternate system, what we will do is that we will not touch the machinery. We don't want to touch the machinery. Rather, we will use a new head called accumulated depreciation. So the entry we will pass at the time of depreciation is depreciation expense debit as it was happening earlier. And the credit will be accumulated depreciation credit with the whatever be the value, 20 lakhs. So in T accounts, what will happen? In T accounts, my machinery had 1 crore rupees. That's all. It will continue to have a closing balance of 1 crore. Depreciation expense का T account में क्या होगा? Depreciation expense में this debit will come. So in the debit side, 20 lakh will come. And now I have a new head called accumulated depreciation. So this particular T account will have 20 lakh in credit side. So basically what has happened is that instead of writing this 20 lakh rupees here, we have transferred it here. ठीक है, समझ आया? How will it get reflected in the balance sheet? Let me show it to you now. So this is how things will look in my trial balance. So now I will have machinery as opposed to 80 lakhs, which was earlier value. Now it will continue to show 1 crore ka value, debit side. Let's say this is debit side, this is credit side. Then I will have a depreciation expense, 20 lakhs. And then I will have a new head called accumulated depreciation, 20 lakhs. So though that information will reflect like this in the trial balance. Earlier, what was happening? Earlier, these two were getting merged. This one and this one were getting merged, and a net value of 80 was coming here. But now instead of this net value, we will write total 100 here and 20 here. Then how these things will get transferred into income statement and balance sheet? This one is an expense. Somebody is asking a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So just hold on, Jyotika. Let me complete the entire story and then I'll open it up for the questions. So this one is an expense. So this will get transferred into income statement. These two will get transferred into balance sheet. Let me show you how. So income statement will not get affected because of this. So far what we were doing in income statement, there were sale and other expenses, and then there was a depreciation expense. तो पहले भी हम यही करते थे, अभी भी यही करेंगे. Depreciation expense will go to income statement. What will change here is that in the balance sheet, in the asset side, you will say machinery 1 crore less accumulated depreciation 20 lakhs, and that's how you have 80 lakhs. So now you say that to bring about both of these information separately, we were doing all this drama. Okay. Let me quickly tell you that how the same thing would have looked in the second year. In the second year, what would happen is, okay, ignore second year for the time being. Ignore second year. Any questions? Yeah, Jyotika, go ahead. You're asking something.
Sir, actually, why are we doing this? As in, how is this entire process showing the capacity of the factory?
So now, This is showing the capacity because now you left the machine with the same value at which it was purchased. तो जब बैलेंस शीट में दिखेगा, if you notice, so when we provided depreciation, we did not even bother to where is here depreciation में, this is the journal entry you are doing. Even though the value of asset is reducing, you are not writing the asset either in debit or in credit. So the asset is left as it is. So as you can see that in this example, this 20 will be missing. So in your machinery T account, you will continue to see 100, whatever, 1,000 or something, 1 crore rupees. You will continue to see 1 crore rupees. That is how you will get this one getting reflected. You will find this one getting reflected in your balance sheet. And then now I have a new item called accumulated depreciation. So this one will be shown as a subtraction to this. So the information will be shown like this: machinery 100 minus accumulated depreciation 20, and that's how you have 80 lakhs. So instead of showing just one number 80, now you have two pieces of information which is coming from this new system of accumulated depreciation. Fine, questions?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
If consider we have two machineries and it have different depreciation. So this accumulated will accumulate all the depreciation, or will we
So it
be
depends.
having?
So this same question will keep coming to me in different forms. For example, some people will say, sir, so many expenses, why can't we every time just call one expense? So you remember that when I was preparing income statement, I was making your life miserable by calling all these headings. So sometimes we were doing, where is it? Let me see here. Sometimes we were doing salary expense, then rent expense, then COGS expense, depreciation. Could I have not just said expenses and added them up? Now it depends. It depends that what scale of business or how big a business you are dealing with. In a business as big as Tata Motors, if you remember, so in their income statement or balance sheet, we saw a handful of items, right? About 10-15 income and expenses lines, and 10-15 assets and 10-15 liabilities. Do you think that a business as big as Tata Motors will have only 10-15 type of assets? So of course, there is a level at which you need to club things and a level at which you need to keep things bifurcated. For example, if Tata Motors says that our assets is this much is the total of asset side, this much is the total of liability side, that also would have been too ridiculous, right? This is too much of aggregation. But if they go on showing each and every asset separately, that also will become nightmarish for you to assimilate what is happening. So because of that, depending upon what is the scale, you will need to do certain aggregation and segregation. Now, what level of aggregation, segregation you will do, that depends upon the scale of your business. But at the end of the day, for the purposes of understanding, I recommend that keep it as segregated as you can. Because right now you are understanding the flow of all the different transactions. So if there are two machinery, create two separate heads. If there is one set of machinery and one land and one building and one furniture, then maybe you would want to club all the machinery together, but you want to keep land separate, building, furniture all separate. Okay. So accumulated depreciation alag-alag दिखाएंगे कि club करेंगे, it depends that what level of detail you want to show the information. Okay.
Sir, one more doubt.
Yeah.
In the asset side, we I mean in the balance sheet we decrease the accumulated depreciation, right?
Yeah. Or if you want, you can show. So this is the part I was about to complete. Where is it? Okay, here. So this is one way of representing that you write machinery here and write subtract accumulated depreciation. One representation of this fact is you write machine 1 crore, subtract accumulated depreciation 20, and that's how you write 80. Or you could have also written it like this, that machine 100 and in the liability side accumulated depreciation 20. That also means one and the same thing. These are just two ways to represent the same information. Of course, I find the first system more intuitive because that is the purpose for which this entire system is created. But conceptually, even this one is not wrong. Okay. Now here you should have immediately noticed that this is one more example that not everything that comes into the liability side is a liability. This one is not a liability. This one is just representing that some part of your asset is gone. It's consumption of, rather accumulation of consumption of assets. So ideally you should have shown it as a subtraction. But if you write it in this side also, it will not be incorrect in hard sense. Yeah. As far as representation is concerned, it's not doing its purpose, but it might not be incorrect either. Yeah, go ahead.
So logically, just एक चीज पूछ रही थी.
Yeah.
So logically, we can also say like claim this thing as a liability, because if a person is buying some machinery, he will have that understanding that he will be liable to bear the daily wear and tear of the product, right?
No, daily wear and tear agar hota hai, that they will anyway show it separately. So what Ishan is asking is that, is it not making more sense that you put it in the liability? Why? Because the more depreciation you are, that more obligation of wear and tear will arise. That's the point he is mentioning. Now, my response to this point is that you don't need to do it separately. Why? Because the moment you are spending anything on wear and tear, anyway, this is what the entry you will do. You will pass wear and tear expense, let's say maintenance, let's call it maintenance expense. So I'll call it maintenance expense debit. If you remember, by now all the expenses get debited, and cash credit if you have paid it in cash, and whatever be the amount, let's say 7 lakh is the amount. So this part will go into income statement this year as an expense or a kharcha. You don't need to do it separately. Okay. In fact, you will see that despite providing accumulated depreciation, there might still be some maintenance expense that will appear as separate item. So it doesn't have anything to do with maintenance. Maintenance is separate item altogether. This has something to do with that of my machine. How much of is the value reduction simply because I have used it? That's all. And that is why I prefer this representation much more than the second representation. Okay, because writing it in the liability side, even though it will make the two sides tally, it doesn't give a proper intuition. Okay, any questions?
Sir,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Sir,
yeah.
when like the machinery's useful life will be over, like in this case,
For
it is
that
5
part,
years.
you hold on. I think this I have already told you a little while earlier, that what if machinery is over, time is over, we are still using it? What if we are discarding it even before time is over? All these permutations and combinations. For that, we have a dedicated chapter, so let us wait for that. Okay. So right now, let us continue with the simplistic example that whatever you thought happened. Okay. Okay. Now, so that's all the 2 points that I wanted you to notice. Now what we'll do is that we will solve a question from the book, or rather we will try to solve as much as we can with the time remaining. And hold on. So this class ends at 1:50.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I wouldn't dare start a question, but that only means that more homework for you. So this is what I want. So there is a question in your book, problem 4.3, problem 4-3. I want everybody to attempt this. Pass the journal entries and entire process. Journal entry, then ledger, then trial balance, then income statement and balance sheet. So do this entire stuff. All conceptually that you needed to know has already been taught. So just go and check whether you can implement it on your own or not. Go slow, try to figure out every step one by one and try to come up with a solution. Okay? We'll discuss this in the next class. Okay? On top of this, so I will just, during this week sometime, I will just ask in the group, or maybe by today, end of today, give it a try. and tell me whether you guys could solve it. If yes, then I will tell you one case also to read. Okay.
So
So
we didn't
that-
receive the case that you had asked us to read yesterday. So what do we do about
Oh
it?
yeah. For that I need to consult the office. So after your class, I'll just call them up. What happened to the cases? Let me see. So in absence of cases, we will take help of these examples. So for the time being, solve problem 4-3 and make sure that you get it. And my only point was that don't wait for Sunday to solve it. Solve it maybe today or at max tomorrow. ठीक है? So that अगर cases वगैरह दे देते हैं तो आपको ये क्या है? Copies Express क्या है? Come again, somebody say something. I didn't.
That problem copies express wala problem in the book.
No, this says Luft Corporation's account had something blah blah blah. So at the end of chapter 4, this is problem 4-3. You're looking at Anthony book?
Yes.
Yeah. So can you do the screen share? Anybody who's having their soft copies open? Jayesh, you can go ahead and share. I hope he is not playing hello hello check check आवाज आ रही है. This is a very good game nowadays. You want to avoid somebody, just hello hello check आवाज आ रही है, and then you disconnect. Somebody just share the soft copy. Class is over भाई. आज एकदम dot time पे खत्म किया है. Yeah. This is extra stuff, just homework. इसको नहीं count करेंगे. Do I need to stop presenting? No, it shows Jayesh is presenting. Yeah. How come Jayesh is presenting the same thing that is there on my screen? कुछ तो हैक किया है. हैक वगैरह कर लिया है क्या मेरा स्क्रीन को?
नहीं ओवरलैप सर, ओवरलैप हो जाता है.
I think sir, if you just stop presenting, maybe हो जाएगा.
मेरा तो इधर स्टॉप हो चुका है भाई. Somebody has already stopped. Let me see. Yeah, I can see it now. Yeah, go ahead. So show me end of chapter. Chapter के questions दिखाओ. या ये तो illustration वगैरह blah blah. हाँ ये रहा left. Go previous. अभी जो slide आता है. Yeah, this one. Problem 4-3. This is what I want you to do. So page 107 in your soft copy. Okay, give it this one a try. बहुत easy है. I'm sure that everybody will be able to do it. If not, let me know. You can let me know earlier also, or you can wait for the class. ठीक है? इसका कम से कम journal entry तो करके ही आना. Fine.
Okay sir.
It will so turn out the journal entry is the only difficulty. हो गया तो बाकी तो anyway बहुत ही easy है. But give it a try. Yeah, somebody saying, Sunita, you're saying something? Who is saying?
No. So this is Snigdha. So can you send the recording? Like I missed quite a few parts in class today due to network.
No problem. आप लोगों के लिए एकदम सब कुछ ready है. पूरा recording ready है. So I'll send it to you. Okay, fine.
Okay sir, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
Sir, do you have this companies do follow the provision of like to present the income statement and balance sheet in one page?
Provision of, I couldn't hear the last part. Provision of income statement, what?
Presenting in one page.
In one page? No. See this part. So let me see if that is the question you are asking. So I believe the question Shobit is asking is that the way there is a mandate on you कि एक ही पेज का resume बनाना है, is there similar kind of a mandate for companies to produce one page of income statement or balance sheet? Is that what you are asking, Shobit?
Yes.
So I don't see any argument can drive this. Arguments cannot drive it. But as I was answering to somebody else, I think to Vaishak's point, I was answering that it shouldn't run too long or too short. Different countries may have their own laws. So that laws may be what they will say, that these are the headings that make sure that you have at least these many heads or something like that. But they would at the end of the day only be laws and regulations. So regulations of course will differ from country to country, from company to company, ownership type to ownership type. So conceptually इसका कोई ऐसा रूल नहीं है. कंपनी लॉ में कोई रूल है कि नहीं तो वो किसी कंपनी सेक्रेटरी को पकड़ो और पूछ लो. I highly suspect ऐसा नहीं होगा. मे बी कुछ हेडिंग्स दिए होंगे कि इन हेडिंग्स में शो करो इन्फॉर्मेशन, बट लिमिट ऑफ 1 पेज आई डोंट नो, आई डोंट थिंक सो। या हो भी सकता है, आई डोंट थिंक सो। अगर नहीं होगा तो मुझे आके जरूर बताना कि कंपनी सेक्रेटरी, बाय एनी चांस एनी कंपनी सेक्रेटरी इन द क्लास और एनी कंपनी सेक्रेटरी इन द इंटायर बैच, कोई मिले तो पकड़ना, बड़े काम की चीज है वो बंदा। फाइन, चलो, एनी अदर क्वेश्चंस?